Good evening, Cameroon. Good evening, Africa. Welcome to Prime Hour on my Media Prime TV with me, Kum Leonard, for presentation where I have calls for peace in our country gone silent. For years, voices across our nation, from civil society groups to community leaders, from diaspora advocates to everyday citizens, spoke loudly on for an end to the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Their words demanded dialogue, accountability, and a chance to rebuild lives shattered by conflicts. But today the chorus has grown quieter. The streets no longer echoed the calls of reconciliation. Social media debates rich, but real sustained advocacy seems muted. Have peace advocates grown tired, fearful, or worried? Or, as a nation, have we grown numb to the pains that surrounds us? Tonight we're going to be asking the questions and answering, providing answers to this worry that has been expressed by so many persons. The crisis rocking the southwest and northwest regions are still on. What is happening in the far north regions is still ongoing as far as conflict is concerned, but the calls for dialogue, the calls for an end to the conflicts have gone quiet. We remember vividly when at the onset of the Boko Haram crisis, Cameroonians mobilized across the cities of this nation, marching, calling for an end to that crisis. Almost every voice said they were against the encroachment into Cameroon's territory by foreigners. At the beginning of the Anglophone crisis, voices actually were gotten from all the corners of this war, calling for an end to the crisis. Mothers of the nations themselves are gathered to call for an end to the crisis. Journalists, civil society advocates were almost everywhere, every day talking and calling for peace. Why are they silent today, even when the crisis still rages on in our country? We're going to be discussing on this very important aspect with panelists who are with me in the studio. We have Dr. Michael Ndimancho, who is a lecturer with some universities out here in Douala, the nation's economic capital, and Yaoundé. He also leads a civil society organization. We're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo, and thank you too for proposing this very, very important topic. Important topic too because we got news that the Supreme Pontiff, Pope Leo XIV, will come to Cameroon, and one of the stopovers we have in Cameroon will be in Bamenda. And the high hopes, of course, is that he is going to speak peace, and we are hoping that the words which will come from the Vicar of Christ, who he is, Pope Leo XIV, will soften the hearts of those hardened belligerents, and that at his departure, we are going to have quite a good, soft, peaceful, pacific image, terrain, environment that we live in Cameroon, not only in the northwest and southwest region, but also in the far north with the Boko Haram. Thank you very much for inviting me.
We also are discussing this evening with Prince Joel Mukage, who is a journalist. We're glad to have you, Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to everybody who's watching my Media Prime. Within and without the country, to the peace-loving people of Mr. Joe who are watching this program, to the people of BEM who came out massively yesterday to welcome a pipe-borne water that was offered to them. It's a privilege that we're here. I'm sending greetings to all the funds from Mr. J's subdivision.
Read all the funds and chiefs now.
All of them I've greeted, most particularly Mr. J. Nobody points their house to the left hand.
Okay, we also have Tamai Jarvis, who will be part of tonight's edition. Good evening, Jarvis.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening to the different parishes and dioceses of Cameroon. Good evening to those who are highly awaiting the pontiff. You know, a lot of expectations are high. Some are anticipating that a cardinal will be announced, and some are also anticipating that after a candidate is announced, there will be a creation of new dioceses like that in whom. That is why Bamenda is very important. Some are anticipating that the Pope would beg with President Paul Biya to see that political prisoners are released, and those in connection with the Anglophone crisis. A lot of expectation, and I want to also wish a special good evening to the peace-loving people of Way Village, those who are watching us in Muya, those who are watching us out of the country, to let us know that no matter how difficult that things may be, courage, brothers and sisters, do not stumble. The night may seem long, but one thing is for sure, dawn will come.
We also are expecting Apostle Longlab Blashers to be part of tonight's edition of the program. But I'll start with you, Dr. Michael Dimancho. Yes, in the early years of the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions, public calls for dialogue peace were loud and frequent. Why are those voices gone quiet today?
You have to understand, Mr. Leo, that when something goes on for so long a time, there is bound to be some kind of fatigue. There is what we call war fatigue. Mm. And that you understand that it becomes really, like what we call a cliche when you keep talking about one thing time and time again and you do not see the effect of it or you don't see any change. So a lot of things have become so permanent that public urgency has dropped and that people do not see any emergency in talking about things. But it doesn't mean that things are not happening. One of the things that we also have to note is that the people of these restive regions have become so used to certain things that usually happen. During the beginning of the war, when you saw a corpse lying on the floor, people were shouting because it was something strange. Over the time, people have gotten used to. They see it every day. They see corpses, and they have seen heinous crimes being committed. And it becomes as if they have become used to what is happening. So that fear, that phobia that they had for most of those things that happen is quickly dying down. And another thing that we're talking about is also a thing about the fragmented global attention that has been given to the war in the Northwest and Southwest region. At the beginning, people seem to have a lot of attention and concerted action to ending the war. But it appears as if the different warring factions, they have kind of, gone into a kind of, begging or trying to broker deals with people to support, and you find that it is already fragmented, that there's this fragmentation of people supporting this part, this one supporting this part, and therefore that concerted action to support a common outerly force that will end this crisis has died down. And one of the things too that we can also talk about, even in terms of information, journalists are becoming a little bit, tired with the means that are at their disposal to be able to keep on also talking about the war, getting into the hinterland and getting information. Things are becoming very, very difficult for them, knowing too that the war has reached a kind of a level whereby everybody is afraid for his or her life. So, and we also have to talk about the geopolitical camps. The camps, people have become so loyal. Geopolitical loyalties also has a role to play. And now sometimes there's a question in geopolitics like, who is to blame? And one moment you even find that what seems to be, unreal, people make it real. And what seems to be real, people make unreal. And now the international community comes to believe in it according to the interest that they have in the factions. So it is important to know, war, there's also what we call the economy of the war. And people are not very much prone to the economy of war. And you will not expect everybody to keep talking about what does not benefit them. So you realize that most of the people at the beginning of the war, people were sympathetic. But along the line, 10 years down the line, many people are getting into war because of what they are going to gain from it. Knowing to the war is a very, very complex thing. And that sometimes people believe what really is not true. So, and two, those who are concerned, remember at the beginning, people were very, very free, confident, courageous to do street protest. Now we do not more see street protests any longer. Now everybody seems to, care about what concerns them, particularly than what concerns the collectivity of the people of this region. At the beginning, we used to have women who go out to the street to sit, and they say the men are running away, and then the men are being taken hostage and all of that, and that we women have to speak out. But for so long a time now, the women too have stayed quiet. And two, you know that there's also scapegoatism when you go out to protest or when you go out to show heroism in issues like this. So a lot of fear, a lot of fright, a lot of, people are feeling that at one moment it is not a war of a single person. And two, there is this blame to being thrown to somebody who is supposed to also to actually stop the war, who is not saying anything. I'm talking about the President of the Republic. At one moment, it is like all the blame now has to go to Yaoundé, especially when we had the masqueradic, what we call the national, the Grand National Dialogue, whereby people thought that was going to be the panacea or the solution that were going to come from this war. And we realized that the very formation and the very conception of the Grand National Dialogue had a problem. And therefore, that is why it didn't produce any result, the desired result that we expected. And therefore, many of these errors and these mistakes that were made along the line has led people to be very, very quiet. Because as we usually say, if gold should rust, what will iron do? So if there is somebody who is supposed to solve this crisis and the person is just quiet, so who then is supposed to come forth to solve the crisis? We have had forged dialogues that have failed. The Swiss dialogue, the Canada dialogue, which people were expecting that something big was going to come from, but at the end of it, it became a sham. And therefore, all of these gathered together. So with other speed breaks and contours and things that have happened, we realize that the decline in talking about the war has to be because of one reason or the other.
Yes, as the conflict become normalized in the national consciousness, leading to silence or fatigue. Here is the issue of fatigue. Do you have the impression that people are tired of talking about it, even when we know that many persons have been dying in Donga Mantung division?
Yeah, the truth is many persons are becoming fed up. Stories that were told in 2016, this is 2026. It's 10 years after, and they are yet to see those stories being realized. For instance, when the crisis started in 2016, people were told that don't go to school that academic year because the certificates that you're going to acquire will not be recognized. They discovered that those who went to school in 2016, their certificates have been realized, or rather recognized, in 2026. So the timing has caused a lot of people to say, it's as if they are deceiving us. So the timing has played a great factor. Another thing is that, Mr. Leo, people are becoming used to, or maybe accustomed to the crisis. When you go to the northwest and southwest today, you will notice that Mondays, people have shifted their Njangiza used to hold on Sundays to Mondays, since there's a traditional ghost town in this part of the country. So what they normally do is that Sundays is a normal busy day. People go about their different businesses. But on Monday now, they meet and do their things. So there's this aspect of being used to. People have become used to. I used to tell people, Mr. Leo, that if you have a child and each time the child commits a crime, you flog that child. I bet you someday that child will leave the house deliberately and spend even 2 days outside and come back maybe the third day, knowing fully whether that is going to beat him. So people have become very used to the kind of life in the northwest and the southwest that what actually is going on now doesn't really mean much to them. People have become, the sounds of gunshot doesn't really move people again. In the early 2016s, when someone had a gunshot, it kept people down. But I'm not saying there's not to keep people down now. But what is happening now is people are becoming used to. People begin to know that, okay, if I take this bend, I'll get here. If I take this bend, I'll get here. Then people can even spot where they meet this group and meet that group. So it has killed that momentum. Another issue is the fact that, Mr. Liu, the government to the massive arrest of some key leaders who started the movement.
You guys are talking about the momentum around the crisis. We are talking about calls for peace. When children were killed in Kumba, we saw mothers mobilize, saying that we want an end to the crisis.
Mr. Leo,
a child was killed in Bamenda, we saw a massive mobilization where people said we wanted an end to this. They were calling on the stakeholders to end the crisis.
All right, this is what I'm saying.
That these same persons can no longer ask those involved to bring this crisis to an end.
This one I was answering your question. When there is a killing, let's take the case of the little girl that was killed in Moliko, who was shot, that the mother was taken to school. Now people come out to say no to this. People condemn in all terms. And now amongst them, some people are rounded up. When these people are rounded up and some are kept behind bars, when next such an incident is happened, someone becomes scared to go out because in case they do so, they may be rounded up. Another issue, Mr. Leo, is the fact that most civil societies or the different organizations, the NGOs, are beginning to feel that they are throwing water on a death's back. Each time they say this, nothing is happening. The government will tell you we held a major national dialogue. And during the dialogue, recommendations were made. The government will tell you there is a bilingualism commission. The government will tell you there is a special bench that has been created at Enam to recruit English lawyers. They'll tell you the Ohada law. They'll tell you about NASLA that has moved from SEFAM. Now, most of these arguments too is making some people, because Mr. Leo, when you only get the zeal to do something when you do it once and you see action. When you do something repeatedly and you're not having action, it kills that momentum. Another point, Mr. Leo, is the fact that amongst people, some people have come to realize that amongst the separatist fighters, some people are beginning to be very serious businessmen. Whereas in the early 2016, they were looking at these separatist fighters as liberators. Look at like Ayabacho is in Norway. Now, it tells you, and when you look at the crimes and what they are putting for, the people start asking themselves, they say, okay, in 2016, we knew these guys were fighting for us. We knew these guys had a dream for us. But now progressively, they are looking at a group of people who are not only fighting for them, but these are the same people who come, kidnap parents, kidnap children, demand for huge ransom. So when you have such things, what do you want people to do? People rather believe that the government has been telling them that this thing is a sham, is a scam, is true. Because those they are fighting to protect are rather those who are coming after them. You don't expect them to increase their voices to call for peace. They're calling for peace for what? They feel that the extent to which they want to go, to who are they talking? Because, Mr. Leo, you can only talk with someone who is willing to listen. But when you're talking with someone who listens, they already has a fixed position, it will not go. Because at one end, you have the separatist fighters who have taken a stand. You have those who say they are federalists and those who say they want independence and those who want succession. At the other end, you have the government that says that the form of the state is non-negotiable, that Cameroon is one and indivisible. Now, when you look at the different role that the different civil societies have been playing, what are the achievements? When you look at like the lady of, I think it's Redak, Maxime Gombe, you see the role that have been played. Look at the Edith Kaban Wallace. Look at even Barrister Nkongo Felix Sabo. Look at the role they are playing. Every day they come, even you as a peace journalist. When you look at these several calls, if some of these calls have yielded the desired fruit, it will motivate, it will galvanize. Mr. Leo, when the idea of nationalism came to Africa, the independence of Ghana
if you are,
pushed and galvanized.
If you are a true peace advocate, do you get tired?
No, you don't get tired because that is the foundation.
Do you say because okay, I am a carpenter because I stopped being a carpenter?
The truth is there is no excuse here as far as the call for peace is concerned if you devote or your brand is peace, promotion and building, except you had a financial attachment to it, which when the finances stop, your activity stop. though there are still some people who have been consistent in their push for peace. Yeah, even on this panel, we are talking about peace, which is part of the promotion which you are doing, talking about peace. Now, let us look at the question you asked. And if you look at this, most of this momentum died when the USAID funding stopped coming. The truth is, most of these NGOs were being funded by a USAID through nexus of wealth. And that's why you see when a small event happens, they'll move to the road. They'll call, you see, these NGOs will come and women, they'll mobilize. Some of these protesters are giving, or some of these people, they'll come, give them transportation, come, let's go mobilize. And when they talk about peace, let me give you a clear example. You raised a lot of things that are clear. For example, when the Mother Francisca massacre occurred in Kumba, that same day I went to Kumba, and College of Ministers went to Kumba. We saw women and group of people came together. We saw two separate protests, all on one objective, peace. One was funded by some of the elite you could identify, they were giving money after the protest. Another one were the NGOs. All, we want peace, we want peace. Now, fast forward, Gidado occurred. The momentum that we experienced in Mother Francisca, we did not see that momentum when Gidado recently occurred.
The same persons are alive.
They are alive. They are still there. The momentum we saw when this Chongwan Carolis in Boya was killed, that baby that Prince talked about was killed behind the stadium, Muliko, is not the momentum we saw when Gidado occurred. In fact, we have had a lot of attacks in the northwest region of recent time, which is a major cause for concern, either by the separatist fighters or those by the incursion or the herdsmen, the Graceland. It's a major cause for concern. It's still part of the peace, because fighting for peace doesn't mean that your own peace is only when Amba and government resolve their issue. Your peace is constant, whether it is the incursion of the east by the Seleka rebels, whether it is from the north by Boko Haram, those who are feeling the pain of Boko Haram, whether it's from the northwest and southwest region, it should be collective. Whether it's from the internal conflict within the insecurity, peace remain peace. Now, when the USAID play a key role in funding most NGOs across the world, especially in Africa. Most of these fundings, NGOs could easily write and they'll give them funding. Mr. Leo, they're advocating for peace. And let me show you this. Have you seen of recent, have there been any seminar organized about peace?
No. We
were seeing seminars and conferences being organized. Either they will call journalists, okay, let's talk about peace. They will call this other set of people. They will call it. Since the US, Donald Trump came and defunded the USAID, the ability of these people preaching for peace has died down. Only a handful of those who are preaching peace objectively, like yourself and some of you, are still talking about peace. Look at the social media. Let us come also to a recent happening. Do you know that cars were burnt down on Tuesday in the northwest region? Camion and some cars were burnt down by separatist fighters, and some people were kidnapped. They were taken to the bushes. This Tuesday, I'm talking about this Tuesday that just passed. Did you hear about it? Where are the peace crusaders? But if the USAID played a significant role, and I am saying this unequivocally, I can tell you with all certainty that the USAID helped a lot of these NGOs in funding their activities under the guise of peace. And when this no. If you, before as you call yourself a peace,
there is a nuance here. We are talking about people who distinguish themselves as peace advocates.
When they are intimidated, they should
Prince, let me land.
What happened to the senior lawyer who became spokesman with you?
Prince, let me land briefly, brother.
Is she not an advocate?
Brother, let me just
when
land.
She's intimidated, the SGO invited
brother, let me land. You went to university. You study journalism. You know the consequences of a journalist. You know the hurdles journalists will face in reporting news and in an unpredictable landscape. You study Africa and international journalists and you read the book. You know the risks involved. And you have a registered NGO talking about peace. You have a legalized organization.
Can we say the nuance is the fact that so many persons only came to cash in from some money, but originally they were not peace advocates.
Yeah, that is actually what I talked about, and I talked about the war economy, which of course is part of it. that many people came into the unformed crisis to actually, zip their own
because when you say intimidation, what stops?
one
Let
of
me
the
let me come.
reasons,
Let me. All right.
I don't know why we are
No.
labeling them.
Let me ask.
Labeling
I'm
them.
asking questions, please.
Okay.
Yes, I'm saying that I, for one, I have taken up the responsibility to preach peace. On my social media handle, I write about peace almost every day. I don't know what stops somebody to go on radio and say, please, my brothers and sisters, these are the consequences of war. War only brings this and that and that and that. How would you be targeted for saying that?
Yeah, of course, because those who work in war fronts like NGOs and civil societies, I mean, it is just like those who work in ordinary terrain, whereby many people, like especially in Africa, I usually say that we have a kind of a suitcase, civil activism and all of that, where people want to sit in offices and just receive what comes from abroad. Nobody wants to actually endeavor to get into the terrain and talk about things. And we have a culture that we don't want to talk about what do not benefit us. This is actually what is happening. That at first, when it benefited, people could sit and talk about it. And it is that culture of living, it's that culture that we have gained, and it's an inclusion culture, because we come from a culture whereby we live in a communal society, where what touches the other person touches on you. But things have changed drastically. We have inculcated a different culture, which is called capitalism, where people think only about themselves. If it doesn't benefit me, it is not my business. This is what is happening today. And one of the things too is that that in this crisis, there is a crisis within a crisis, whereby people have gone into segments and now they are fighting themselves. What touches on this particular person, people do not want to talk about. This is what is clear. And we have seen what has happened in most of the happenings in the Northwest and Southwest regions, whereby when things happen maybe in the Northwest region and in a particular village, you don't find a lot of people talking about it. Or if something happens in the Southwest in a particular, we don't find a lot of people talking about it. This is because people have become so much selfish, and human life has become something that people think they can trade for money and all of those. Because it doesn't stop anybody from writing. We use Facebook every day, we use WhatsApp every day, we use this every day. But it surprises that it is even when we talk about issues that touch on human life and politics, or even in Popia Yaoundé, they find a lot of people coming to talk about. But when you hear that somebody has died, or that children have died, or that this has happened, people stay so silent. Well, I talked about war fatigue, but I don't think that we will have war fatigue to the extent whereby human blood is being spilled and we stay quiet. Means that actually there is something serious is wrong. Then we begin to ask ourselves that, at this point in time, it means that we are going for the interest of what is happening in this war. It is it is there. But the hypothesis of Tama Japanese now will come true, where when we had sponsorship with the US aid and all of those, many people were interested in going to the war front to show them. Many people took photos and show how they were in the hinterlands, were in the war-torn zone, and all
preaching peace.
Preaching peace. And I even saw, even you talk about even the giving of food.
Yes.
Food, it has reduced. At the beginning of this crisis, I used to admire some of my friends in Bamenda, because each time they would tell me they are sharing food here. I told my friend one day that I would transfer and come to Bamenda, because they were receiving food at almost every time. But immediately these philanthropic activities stopped, you realize that people have stopped talking about the war. People have stopped taking photos to the war. People have stopped. This is what is happening. And I think that there is an important thing to rebuild. We need to rebuild the incentives that actually will keep people, because war, it's something that when it starts, you do not know when it ends. And therefore, it is very, very important.
The reason why we are doing this follow-up topic is because we discussed about it, was it on Monday, where we asked whether the war had been abandoned to die a natural death. But why I'm discussing is maybe the stakeholders on both sides are also not being reminded on the need or the urgency to end it, because before, almost every day, people were telling them, reminding them that people are dying, people are this. But let's look at opposition parties. They themselves, they spoke a lot about the need for
Political
peace.
parties?
Yes. They spoke a lot about the need for peace to return, and but we know that the crisis is still ongoing. We hear very little from the political parties themselves. Is it that they are not organized? Are they not also touched by what is happening? Even you raised the issue of Gidado. I don't know how many political parties talked about it. Yeah,
the issue when you talk about political parties in Cameroon, and most particularly the opposition, we have opposition political parties in Cameroon that make a lot of speeches when elections are near. It means that once there was a presidential elections, you hear them talking. Once municipal and legislative is coming, they'll keep talking. Nearly all the political parties, Mr. Leo, the SDF, the PCRN, and other parties, top on their manifesto to Cameroonians was, give me this period, I will solve the Anglophone crisis. I will solve the crisis, the Boko Haram. I will solve this, I will solve that. So when you look at it now, the presidential elections is over, and you're asking yourself, people were killed in Gidado. Recently, we had another killing that happened still in Du subdivision. Which political party came out to say we condemn? But during presidential elections, during other elections, once it comes up, even if it's a single child, what you're going to hear is, we of this political party, we condemn with the strongest terms. So I just feel that, Mr. Leo, so far to me, it was a game of interest. It was a game of interest. And since the interest is no longer coming, I'm looking at the political parties, because when you sympathize with the community, somebody in that community will tell him or herself that, okay, when we were affected, this person came and assisted us. This political party came and assisted us. And you may want to now ask yourself that, okay, our family was affected and this political party gave us some financial aid and both material aid. So why not even cast our vote for this political party? Which elections is going on now? None is going on. So it's but normal that the opposition political parties, like they've always been in their way, have gone back very calm.
Yeah, but we have politicians themselves who are from within the CPDM, who are from these conflict-stricken regions. Are they talking enough?
They are talking, Mr. Aliu. I give you the case of Gidado. Once the attack of Gidado in Ndu subdivision took place, the honorable member of Ndu subdivision, Honorable Naomi, condemned. She wrote, apologized, or rather not, sympathized with the people, told them to take calm, and that something will be done and that investigations will be done. At least she spoke.
Yeah, we talk about peace advocates here. We have
you talked about politicians.
Politicians from across the, say, even from the Francophone regions. Why would they not actually see the urgency in pressing for an end to this crisis because of the loss of life? More than 10 persons were killed in Gidado. After that, we have lost
14 people.
Yes. After that, we have seen many persons killed in Ndu subdivision, but also across other communities. Why is I don't know? Why can't the nation? We saw how. Let me come. We saw the nation came out for Boko Haram. Yes, Boko Haram. There was massive rallies. If this thing is not coming to an end, if opposition is failing, why can the politicians from the ruling party not themselves also, or they're very comfortable with the way things are?
Mr. Liu, I made mention of the fact that
they condemn.
Most of them condemned, and that has always been the case. Once they condemn, at times they give something to motivate. And I remember that with the case of Gidado, for instance, the mayor of Ndu organized a peace discussion with objective of peace, where the Ardos, the funds, and peace, those who had something to do about peace, came. And the objective was to see how to quench the tension that is ongoing in Ndu. And I believe that it did not. It achieved some success, but to a greater extent it did not, because a week or two later we still had killings around this area. And I think that if it came from the national globe, if it was something like we were saying that came from the national globe where you had persons from all walks of life coming out to say that it's an issue of human life. But this still comes back to the fact that I said, Mr. Liu, people are fed up. When you have a situation where people have said, nous dénonçons, nous dénonçons, nous dénonçons, from 2016 to 2026, people start becoming fed up.
But that is not what we're talking about. Condemning is one thing, but advocating for dialogue.
When you advocate, people are still killing.
Yeah, but
you want to seize the guns.
Yeah, but as you have to keep advocating. I'm not sure people have stopped advocating for the Palestinian cause because it's spanned above for 40 years and other parts. But how do we understand that political parties now are no longer prioritizing the killings in the northwest and southwest regions? They also talk very little about what is happening in the far north region. Isn't that a priority for them, or they feel that they do not have what it takes to pressure the stakeholders to engage a peace?
The simple issue comes with financing and fundings. And, you know, I'll give you an example on both sides, across both sides. For example, if you look at the early phase of the presidential election, they just ended October 12 presidential election, you see political parties had the opinion that ending the Anglophone crisis or talking about the Anglophone crisis will give them a big political point. We saw how some of them made emergency visits to the northwest region over time, with some with heavy security, walking on the street to talk to the people like their messiah who have come to solve their problem. And immediately after the presidential election ended, they were nowhere to be found. They came Gidado, which is even very important that some of them would have gone to the field to see what happened, because after Mother Francisca massacre and after the Ngabu massacre, Gidado remains also a very big massacre that had occurred in recent time. In fact, that was a major cause for concern, that many politicians had gone to the field to go and see what happened, take stock, and come back to parliament or their respective houses and hold the government to account. But they did not. Across the eye. Do you know why? The simple reason is because they understood that some of the areas where they used to source their funding, like I said before, USAID, if you look at the background and how this nexus work, it cut across not just NGOs, it cut across opposition parties. And ideological issues, also promoting ideological issues. If you look at the funding that were read across the U.S. embassy, the Congress, you understand how this network. Now, let me give you another example within Cameroon. This one is within Cameroon. Our opposition parties and our ruling party use as long as election is not around the corner, they are okay. But when election will be around the corner, they will not start talking. For example, the date for the municipal and legislative election has not been announced. The moment it will be announced, if a single thing occurs in Boya, you start a condemnation. We condemn. Now, from the side of the opposition, or the ruling political party members who are of the ruling party, let me give you an example. The head of state made a speech in 31st December, talked about communal dialogue or community dialogue. And now this community dialogue, to his best knowledge, these politicians would push for community dialogue. How many of them have swung into action to talk about community dialogue? How many of them are? In fact, it's like it is a head of state thing. Do you know why? Because the commission has not been created, money has not been disbursed, financing has not been disbursed, mission bond has not been disbursed. That's why you see the communal dialogue is like nothing is happening. But that was a policy that the head of state talked about. But when the head of state in his speech, one of his speeches talked about football, how they need to address the issue about football, how football is the priority of Cameroon, immediately, because money was in that domain, immediately some politicians started talking. In fact, it became the out of the day, Africa need to be revived, this coach needs to come. Everybody now became a sport analyst and a sport expert in the political domain. Even politicians were talking about it. No, this man is right. Why? Because there is money. Now that same president has talked about community dialogue.
But let me get back to you. The president of the republic himself has said that they should move a step further beyond the major national dialogue by engaging a community dialogue. That is, the president says, let us push for peace. What's happening?
Mr. Liu, simple. I gave you the example of what happened in Do after Gidado.
Yes, but Ndu was a consequence of a killing. Which means that without the Gidado, nothing would have happened.
I think you have a point there, because it was a consequence. Now the people meet, every concerned person within that subdivision came.
Yes, beyond
a week
that.
later, you have something of that same magnitude. But I think, Mr. Leo, that that's why I buy with Javis that it should be an issue of funds. It's an issue of funding, because I see nothing wrong for people, because they have given them the leeway. Community dialogue means here that, okay, within each village, let those who are there be able to sit down and talk. How do we stop the killings in our own area? It means that if you come from Isu, you will not be discussing what should have happened in Kambe. You look at what happens. How do we solve our problems within our own local area? I think that's the meaning of community dialogue. But now, since people are still waiting for commissions, I think I discussed this topic somewhere, maybe here.
Yeah, we discussed it.
You have discussed it. People are still waiting for heads of commissions. People are still waiting for those to head those delegations, and people are still waiting for the envelope that normally comes with such a commission. And once such a commission is given an envelope, people will tell themselves, why should I even do it? It will shock you that we are living in a nation where for someone to go and march, which is a patriotic act, they should be motivated. There's no reason to march. Why should they even march? So I think that the community dialogue, Mr. Leo, is yet to get the firebrand nature that it desires, because the envelopes are not yet there. Notwithstanding, I want to applaud a few communities that usually hold such community dialogues. Because I've seen different areas, different villages that hold such dialogue to see that, how do we stop this? How do we end what is happening within our area? Because to me, it's the most important thing, Mr. Liu. Because what happens is, for something to happen within an area, the person who causes that harm doesn't come far. And even if he came far, somebody within the community gives information. And now, if you hold your community dialogue, you will not necessarily need to wait for Yaoundé to come and solve the problem.
Yeah, you raised the issue of funds. I don't know. If politicians can easily raise funds to campaign, why can they not easily raise funds for something that benefits the community? Because roads are bad, people cannot walk around, people cannot do so many things, many children are not going to school as expected. Why can we not also mobilize? If we can mobilize for campaigns, why can't we mobilize for this?
200 million.
I think that for those, without being biased, I think that we've seen some people who are within the ruling party come together to take such initiatives, contribute money, and hold their own dialogue within their communities. But we are yet to see the opposition. It's very true that someone will tell you within the opposition that when they want to hold such meetings, they will tell you that they need an authorization from the divisional officer, whom they will always tell you that when they go for such authorization, it will not be approved. But I think that those within the ruling party have been doing their best. I gave the example of what happened in Du, and I think that if the opposition political parties had joined in what is actually going on in the northwest and the southwest, and in other parts, even in the far north, Mr. Liu, maybe we would have been talking about lesser killings. But notwithstanding, we are moving, and we must have noticed that the killings, like Javi said, the most alarming one recently is Gidad. Yes, it is becoming slower because people too are getting fed up, Mr. Liu. But now, we want to look at a situation where we should not talk about killings completely. And this can only come from the community dialogue. Let us be able to look at each other in the face. And I look at Dr. Nzimanchu and I tell him, you are my brother. When I tell you good morning, my dialect, you get it. Let us see how we can solve our own different differences.
Doctor, is the absence of sustained international pressure contributing to the quietness that we observe discussing about this? Have people waited for the international community to come to no avail, so they say, okay, we have been left to our fate?
Exactly, and you know the euphoria with which the people waited the international community to come solve the problem. I think that we have run a series of programs on this, whereby we talked about the failure to create an impact by the leaders of the international community, where we actually made a chronicle of those of them who visited Cameroon. And I'm thinking here about Patricia Scotland of the Commonwealth who came to Cameroon. I'm thinking about the Francophonie director who came to Cameroon.
Musa Faki.
Musa Faki who came to Cameroon, of whom, of course, Thabo Mbeki made a rubbish of him at one moment, and making believe that within the ranks of the diplomat and in diplomacy, they had actually wanted this Anglophone crisis to be solved. Exactly, yeah. And that when Faki came to Cameroon, he was already rolled a red carpet Thabo Mbeki actually caricatured that, and everybody was like, oh, so is it what was coming to take gifts? So Antonio Guterres came to Cameroon, and it was this very platform that I came, maybe it was 5 years ago, where I said when Antonio Guterres came to Cameroon, I was in Bamenda. That day I was in Bamenda. Bamenda was totally ghosted. And when I asked, they told me the Secretary General of the UN is in Yaoundé. And I asked myself, the Secretary General is in Yaoundé, and then Bamenda is somewhat ghosted, and everybody felt that Guterres was coming with a magic wand in Yaoundé. But to their greatest chagrin, Guterres only came, whether he received gifts, but what is sure is that he went and there was no solution. And now, with all of these high-profile directors and international figures who were unable to bring a solution to this crisis. I'm not talking about America, who kept on talking about how they are disturbed and troubled, how they, kept writing, and nothing forth was being. Yeah, they are concerned about what is happening.
At the Senate, at the Congress.
Yeah. The Congress is concerned about what is happening, and we keep on being concerned up to 10 years down the line. Now, people are asking themselves, if these international organizations cannot bring a solution to this, are we the ones who will be able to bring a solution? And you even ask a question also about the opposition parties. Opposition parties are also having their own.
No, I said political parties. I did not say opposition parties. I said political parties.
Political parties, of course. They are also, and of course, when we say political parties, I am looking at the opposition parties. Okay. Because they too are making their own calculations, They are looking at the masses who vote for them. And at one moment, shaming those who commit acts, are also shaming those who will vote for them or who are going. So they are doing a lot of calculations in that. And two, there's a lot of repression when it comes to that. With individuals talking, there's repression. We have seen a lot of repression here happen. That when you say what doesn't touch or what doesn't favor the status quo, on both sides, of course. When you come out and you talk about what doesn't favor the separatists, you are in danger. We have testimony to the fact that they keep calling some of us to warn us and tell us how we are working for the La Republique. I don't know what La Republique is all about. But on this other side, many of us have gone on too often because we only express our views about what is happening. So there is a lot of repression going on. And two, there is the issue of limited information. People are not informed because sometimes when something happens of this nature, yes, it is good to blame, to say we are troubled about what has happened. But sometimes it's always good to give precision. Because one of these things has continued like this because we have refused to call the names and to say exactly who is doing what and who is causing the harm. It is good, and because what we call inquiries in Cameroon take too long, and sometimes they do not even give the true image of what is. Look at what happened in Ngabou. You just talk about Ngabou here. Yes. Ngabou was declared. It was last week. Then Ngabou's sentence, or final sentence was just 3 people. And you see, look at the length of time that it has taken. And even some were given 3 years, and the 3 years have already been elapsed. Maybe if they were in custody, that 3-year sentence, they will be coming out. Yes. So you see that the lenteur, the slowness in the justice system has also slowed down the way people are talking. Because when that time came and the government announced that they were going to prop into the Ngabou massacre, everybody was excited. Everybody wanted to see the result of what is going to happen. But look at, you cannot remain spellbound 3 years waiting for a result of something that is not coming. So this is one of the things, that the lack of reliable information to be able to shame those who are causing the atrocities is also very, very important. And people are careful not to say what they do not know. Imagine you come out and talk about like the massacre in Gidado when you don't know exactly what happened. So we need to have information, which is important. And two, we also say communication, expert, journalists do your job too.
Yes, but now let's look at the situation of the traditional rulers. Some of them are not living in the southwest and the northwest regions because of the crisis. It's true they are wanted at times. Most of them are also being attacked. But because of this prolonged nature of the crisis, even if their voices were not listened to in the early days of the crisis, can they not reorganize themselves, accept themselves as the fathers of the regions and make a fresh call for peace to return? We hear very little from the traditional rulers regarding the crisis, and it looks like things are as usual when they meet. We rarely hear them talk directly on the need for this crisis to be looked into.
Mr. Liu, I think that it's true that most traditional rulers from the northwest and the southwest region have deserted their fondoms and chiefdoms. A few courageous ones are still there. But I think that a father who is a fawn is first of all, or a fawn is first of all a father, which means that a word that comes from a father in a community will be welcomed more than that which comes from any other individual.
Like the international community that we are talking about.
Yeah. So I think that our chiefs need to, those who have deserted. I'm lucky I come from an area where my phone has never left since day one till now. He's always in his palace. Now, those who have left, it is time to rethink. Because, Mr. Leo, I believe that it will be difficult, if not abnormal or unheard of, that children get up and send away their own father from the palace. It means that something beyond the eyes has met with it. So, for those who've deserted, I just feel that it's time to ask yourself, what is it that went wrong? How do we correct it? Because it's never too late to correct, Mr. Liu. How do we right our wrongs? We need to call our children and tell the children that even if you saw us going this way, it is because we wanted this. We wanted peace. And you should come back to us so that we can come together and talk. I believe that, Mr. Leo, most funds have unions. And Donga Mantu, they have what they call Domafo. Donga Mantu Funds Union. Now, I believe that with such an umbrella, it can bring together all the funds of that area. They now sit and strategize. How do we go back to our different communities and see that we find lasting peace?
Talk to our children.
That's what I'm saying, Mr. Liu, because chiefs, their words are sacrosanct. You don't joke with. And for those who are out, for one reason or the other, Doctor said something which is very important, Mr. Liu. The context in which we are living is very, very complex. Complex because once you do not sing the praises of somebody, if a separatist fighter kills somebody and you come and say that it is wrong, they say Prince of the so they don't buy it. Now because we know it is not the prince, that's what people say. But you smile about it. You smile not because what they are saying is true, but you smile about it because only the person who wears his shoes knows it pinches. I feel that for the funds who have left, Mr. Liu, we have had funds that children, if not, that funds at times have some powers or have information. We have had people, funds, whom guys have planned to go and do away with them. We know what is recently happened in one of the fundoms in the Northwest. It tells you that even in as much as some of the funds are willing to go back home, in as much as some of the funds are willing to talk to their children, are the children even willing to listen, Mr. Liu? But now the million-dollar question is, how did we even get there? Because a fund should not have even gotten to an extent where his children don't want to listen to him. It means that something, first of all, went wrong. A fund is, his word is law. So if you are that kind of a fund or a chief, and you are in a village, or in your village, and your word does not have power, your word does not have strength, then something is wrong. You need to ask yourself, where did I go wrong? And where you went wrong, nobody is too big, Mr. Leo. One of the things I admire with you is you will always look for peace. When someone does something, you just tell the person, it's well. It's peace. I feel that in as much as we're even fathers, the funds, When you discover that your children are angry with you, at one time a father apologizes to his children. Of course. I'm not saying that the funds should go and... Yes, I'm not saying that the funds should go and gather the community and say, I'm sorry, no. But we know that in the course of this crisis, Mr. Liu, there are funds who openly abandoned their children. And once they abandoned their children, the children too started revolting.
Maybe they were haunted.
They were haunted. That is a fact. They were haunted. They were haunted, Mr. Liu, because the children, remember, like I said, this crisis is complex. Complex because when you go like this, you have, it's a dilemma. It's just like you are in the middle of a bridge. Ahead of you, there is a snake, and behind you, there is a lion, and the bridge is collapsing. None of them is a safe zone for you. But at the end of the day, I feel, Mr. Liu, that the funds, I know so many of them will stay in town.
Okay.
Who have already erected buildings. And when you look at it, they have no plans of going back where they are coming. Yes, I know so
They
many.
were acclimatized.
They don't. Yes, they don't have any plans of ever going back
How
home.
they'll feel to go back and enter into those places with some funny... Yep. But let's look at this. We are looking at the international community that has gone quiet about this. We are talking about peace advocacy. We had international organizations that were also looking into this matter. They have gone silent. But let's stay with the chiefs and the funds. Maybe we are looking for where the solution will come from without our community, when the solution lies with our voices. The peace advocates themselves in our communities who have gone silent, and the traditional rulers, maybe these are the missing voices. The guys themselves and all of those who are involved in this may have gone themselves worried, but they think that they have been abandoned. Why not just make this other call for everybody to come back to reason?
I'll go back to the personal interest, and I'll state it clearly that it's financial interest, and I'll give reasons.
Okay.
During the presidential election, we saw these chiefs were active. Chiefs had meetings promising support for the head of state. These meetings we have never seen as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned in recent times. For these same chiefs to conveal and say that, okay, maybe the ones in the Northwest, the ones, or divisionally. We have never had these chiefs divisionally. But when the presidential election came, we saw all the chiefs having meetings, promising that unflinching support. Mr. Kum, during that presidential election, did the Amber crisis end? Was there a pause? Out of a sudden, the chiefs were active, promising, and we heard how one said the head of state is the alpha and the omega, that as long as the head of state be there, there's some promise support. But when it came, why were they doing that? They were doing that because they know that if the head of state wins, maybe in the process of nominating senators, in the process of doing, or maybe another nomination, board chairman, or one of these kind of technical appointments, they will show themselves as they fought harder in their locality for the head of state to be appointed. That was why you see during the presidential campaign, our chiefs were active. They had meetings. After the presidential election, have we had these same chiefs coming together to hold an emergency session that our president has, our champion has talked about community dialogue? We are the president of these villages, are the representative, the auxiliary to the administration. We know our people. Let us come together and see how we can set groundwork for this community dialogue, because some of us are having mobile palaces. Of recent, there is a controversy where a chief was coronated in Yaoundé. In one of the,
was it not? It was in Douala.
In Douala. Now, how do you coronate a chief out or in the?
Okay.
I didn't want to say anything about that coronation.
Okay.
It happened in my area. It's from my
Noni,
area.
from
Yes,
Noni,
from
yeah.
Noni, yes.
Okay, so at the end of the day, you see, at the end of the day, you ask a question. We have chiefs who are supposed to be at the center, and that's why the head of state saw the result of the presidential election, and he was okay. He said, wow, our chiefs are working. If our chiefs could give me this result, it means that they can have community dialogue, because when you are talking about community dialogue, this dialogue cannot hold effectively without the chief being at the center, because he's the Ngomba person. That is why I talked about the issue of personal interest. Let us come to the second issue, political lineage. Remember, in the days of, or in the 90s or early 2000s, chiefs were not highly political like this. And they commanded a lot of respect. But before the Anglophone crisis emerged, we started hearing how some chiefs would say that they will not want a particular party to campaign in their village on this and that and that. It started raising division. Most of the reasons why some of these chiefs were targeted during the Anglophone crisis was because of political issues. Because those who were not politically inclined, some of them stayed in their villages and some of them have never left. Why? Because they were neutral. They maintained a neutral face, but deep in them, they have a party that they could vote for. And that's why we are saying that when politics enter chiefdom, how will you tell Dr. Dimancho, for example, if Dr. Dimancho is party A and you, the chief, you are party B, and now Dr. Dimancho, he comes to you and you have the party B is fighting party A, how will you expect Dr. Dimancho to listen to that peace building, knowing fully well that they will say it's your party that is causing or it's don't want dialogue, effective dialogue. So you see the nuance. That's why the chiefs are totally out of the picture as it is. Right, they are helpless. The only way, like Prince said, the only way to have this is for some of them to come back and say, my people, let's keep aside political issues. My children, let's keep aside political issues. We may have had a divergent view on political issues. Let us look at this thing like the sons and daughters of this land. We are the custodian of this land. It is our land. We have just one tribe, one village, one village to hold. That is why if you look at the issue about the chiefs, I bet you municipal election is coming. You will hear the only area where you hear their voices now, the House of Chiefs, when they will be talking about budget. And when they are talking about budget, what would they be discussing about the budget? Another issue is the regional council. Because in the regional council, these are the people too that were supposed to be talking about peace. In fact, they were supposed to be spearheading the peace, because if there's no peace in this respective region, their activities will not be effectively implemented. So if you look at the fact that chiefs involved in politics, it made them, during the early phase of the conflict, to be targeted, and because they were targeted, they now moved away from their village. And that's why there is even one case in Bamenda, which some are saying that he abandoned the village, and because of that nobody is supposed to abandon public office for a certain length of time, and that, all these controversies is politically inclined. And now, conclusively, on the issue of international pressure, as you talked to Dr. Dimancho, first, in the early phase of the Anglophone crisis, we had just the coronavirus. The coronavirus was the only thing that was moving around. So energy, the United Nations was focused and fundings were there. If you look at the recent, the U.S. Secretary General came and said, U.S. is running out of cash. The UN is running out of cash. And that the cash, if they don't have money, UN may collapse. And do you know the amount of money on the department? The department is on conflict. Because most of the money being pumped by United States of America and other governments were used and are being used on missions. So we have the Russia-Ukraine war, which energy has been diverted. All NGOs now are moving to that. We have the Palestinian-Israel moving into. We have now the threat of the threat of Iran. So the world is unstable. United Nations has failed in its mission by maintaining world peace. US is coming in, and at the end of the day, there is kind of distraction. So for international pressure to come, it would take a miracle. But for us to resolve this, we can quickly resolve. But for our chiefs, I will tell you in all certainty, we have watched how some politicians raise money. We watch how our chiefs were having meetings in Northwest and Southwest, mobilizing in 20 ahead of presidential election, saying how they will campaign effectively, and they had a result. Look at the result of the presidential election as announced by the Constitutional Council. They had the result. Why can't they move now and have this result? In the Gidado, we saw libations. When this occurred in other divisions in the Northwest and Southwest, early phase of this conflict, we saw how chiefs came together and poured libation. Cleanse the land. Prince, you are from that area. Have the chiefs of that area come together to cleanse the land, to ask for cleansing? But we saw when it occurred in other areas during the early phase of the conflict. Just within the area, you're talking about that there was a mayor or who called for dialogue. What happened to the chiefs in that area? Have they come together? It's Gidado. They have not come together.
The chiefs?
In their area, have they come together, all of them?
All of them together.
No, they did not come as chiefs. They came at the call
of the umbrella
of the Hindu Council. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about the chiefs.
Yeah, but Dr. Dimancho, we heard a lot about the chiefs. Anytime they met, they raised alarm. If they are chased out of their homes, some are in Bamenda, town itself. Some are in Douala here, others are in Yaoundé. And why can't they also pressure, let's say, the instances in Yaoundé, say, come, all of us, the funds, all of us, the chiefs, we are going to press at the level of Yaoundé to say, can we see how to fast track like the decentralization process was done? Can we see how we can fast track the implementation of the recommendations of the major national dialogue so that this thing is taken out of space? Can we also not solicit funds? I'm talking about the traditional rulers, for us to be sent out of Cameroon to meet these guys who are in Europe, others in America, South Africa. Let us talk this thing out.
Mr. Leo, but I will come to the answer. Just wanted to clarify an issue that
the coronated fund.
The coronated fund. I think it's also a duty of a share like myself to clear the air, because we have had this nationally and internationally, people talking about what they do not know. From where I come from in Noni, the phone doesn't die. The phone travels. And when the phone travels, what we do is that we go in a search of a phone who is supposed to be the successor. And when that phone is gotten, it is said that the phone has returned. This is what happened. And it is not obligatory that the successor or the heir should be in the village. Sometimes the heir is far off, and the person who is habilitated with the mystical and metaphysical strength and force goes out to look for the phone. And whenever and wherever you meet the new phone who is a successor, there are these traditional regalia which are mystical, that the first thing you do is that you have to touch the phone and wear them on the new phone. The understanding I have grown up to know as a traditional leader, these regalias carry some mystical powers that when it touches you, you cannot run any longer. It has been proven to be true. And that to show that you are the new phone, there are these regalia that must be put on you.
So what happened in Douala was the catching
of the phone, which is the process of the coronation of the phone.
Okay.
That catching makes for the beauty too of the coronation. So that is how it is. Let people not say that a phone was crowned, a phone was caught in Douala, and the traditional regalia put on him. And that very night, the phone traveled to the village.
And those people come and get him lift from the village.
Exactly. That very night that people saw the photo, he traveled overnight. He didn't stay here. I'm giving the first-hand information so that people know. Because I've seen on Facebook, on this, a phone coronated in Douala. That is a lie. That phone was a teacher in Douala. He came. There was a backstage negotiation with the administration of the school, even with the gendarmerie. Because in my place, you don't just get a new phone who accept that, yes, I'll be there. The new phone is always gotten while he's running. He's not just taking where he's seated. No, he's always taking while he's running. And therefore, to get him here in Douala, they had to contact the security forces, contact the school, and they got that man. And then to after show that he is the new phone, they put that. And then he was brought to that house where normally those photos were not supposed to go out. But it's just that we live now in the Android where those photos filtered out. And that very night, as we speak, he is in his palace in Kochi, in Noni. So I just want to clear the air for people to know. Now, coming now to your question, Mr. Liu, I think that if we understand that one of the fallouts of the Grand National Dialogue was the award, let me say award of the House of Chiefs to the chiefs, then we should understand that most of our chiefs have gone out of their calling in one way or the other. I remember we ran a program here on about the chieftaincy crisis. I think it was here. And we talked about one of the reasons why we have this crisis in the villages is because the chiefs have, embraced modernism. Most of the chiefs have abandoned because of nomination or classification and all of those. So many things have come into play. And if you look and very clearly, you see that the beginning of the Anglophone crisis, the root causes of the Anglophone crisis also touches on what the chiefs have indulged in, most of the chiefs have indulged in, and it is the issue of the culture. culture is one of the things that caused the Avon crisis. And that people think that we have to maintain part of the culture that we have. But people are not saying the truth, because one of the things that we have is that of abandonment of the culture and embracing what is not yours. And most of our chiefs have done that. That in the villages, the chiefs are not the people who are listened to any longer. That they are more prone to what happens in town than to what happens to their villages. And therefore, they cannot go back. And Tamai Javi talked about what we had prior to the presidential election, where we saw many of them. They went to the Unity Palace and they had to talk out peace with the Secretary General of the presidency on how they are well prepared for the election and all of those. And just by that very action that they took, do you know what it cost back in their various places? Whereby people are at that very moment started saying, you cannot come back to your various places to solve the crisis that is there, but you are going to a Unity Palace to be able to broker this because of the gain of it. This is what is happening. And this is how we have raised the chiefs and the phones and the lamidas. They have raised the dust in the teacup, and a lot of things is burning. Imagine that if the chief or some of those funds live here and go to Europe or America, as you say, it would just be safari trips. Because that would just be spending the country's money for nothing, because there is nothing they are going to bring out from there. Because you realize that many of them spent whole years, since 2016, we have many of them who are practically out of the villages. Secondly, we have had crisis in other areas, I don't want to call names, where people are like saying the funds has overstayed out so much. And now, according to tradition, there are number of days and there's amount of time you are not supposed to stay out of the village. I'm saying as a traditionalist. Yes. Even if nobody tells you anything, after that, you know that you are already persona non grata there in the village. Because I'm talking about those traditional, attributes or the gods that you have to please. Yes. Because from time to time, you have to please the gods. Yes. There are some sacrifices that you need to offer. There are some libations that you need to offer. It is a chief that has to do. And when you don't do those things, you sleep the village. And because you sleep the village, the traditional institutions too are asleep. And now you have many other powerful people now who get up and they begin to act in year of the chief in the parish. And those are the people that they listen to. And that's what we said. If you have to organize some dialogue here, it should be inclusive. You realize that if you have to vote somebody who will be the spokesperson of people in the village, they will not even look at the chief. They will not look at the chief. They will not look at the chief. The chief will be very, very far. He will not even be the one representing the village. You will find that new people will crop up because these are the people who have stayed put and they are taking the village to the higher height. But let the chiefs keep on following contracts in Yaoundé. Let them keep on going to the presidency in Yaoundé and asking for whatever they want to ask for. But what we know is that many of these of our chiefs and our phones have gone out of their calling, and that if you talk about brokering peace, then the state, if they have to use a chief, you will only be money wasted. And that is why when they came and they made the Secretary General of the Republic, the Secretary General of the Republic wrote a report to the presidency and said these chiefs are determined to bring peace, solidarity, love back into their villages. And I must say in good faith that maybe that is why Mr. Pobia made a speech and talked about communal dialogue. I said, go back now. How many of those chiefs have we heard? Because during the campaigns, we could see many of them go up and down. Yes. How many of those chiefs have we heard about going back to the village after this speech or after the presidential election to be able to tell their people, now that we have gotten our new president, renewed confidence in our president, please let us down our guns, let the guns not smoke any longer, let us silence our guns, and now let us give confidence to the new president who has taken up responsibility. We have not had anything of that nature. But then, what are they waiting for? We saw chiefs fighting when it came to the election of the House of Chiefs. This one talking about this one saying how he spent it, this one saying this. That is what the fight we saw. And that was a fight that was public and even in newspapers. Yes. We didn't see chiefs say anything. How innovation we were done and all of this. Secondly, we are hearing about appointments who are imminent. And chiefs are sitting in their various corners waiting, and maybe some of them will have some small appointment that are looking. And this is what is interested about them. It is not even about the people dying in the villages. We are supposed also to hear the chiefs speak out in Gidado. We didn't hear that. Even if they gathered, They didn't say, we make proper statement that we can be able to take them for. And I'm saying this with all the confidence because Prince is here and his testimony of what I'm talking about. And that when he's greeting the chiefs, one of the chiefs, you also tell them, chiefs, we count very much on you and we are renewing our confidence in you. Please bring peace to our people and talk peace. And this is some of the things that because they do not openly express these things, we have House of Chiefs, the Southwest House of Chiefs, the Northwest House of Chiefs. Normally in their sitting, we are supposed to have some outings where they write and actually strike strongly.
Two institutions.
Exactly.
You have the House of Chiefs and the Chief Conference.
The Chief Conference.
There are two institutions.
That is right. What is stopping them from come out with a statement and say that this statement is coming from the chiefs of the Northwest region and that we are asking all those concerned in the war, the belligerent, be you side of Amber, be you in the side of that we are asking for peace. Because one of the things that we must not forget is that the chiefs, Normal and the phone, they usually had the power, and I believe someone is the power, and the power was really godly. But the point now is that they themselves are as doubtful of the powers that they have as some of us are today. Because now they are no more sure. Because if the chief is afraid to go to their village, because my phone is not to his village, but to their village, then it is a problem. So it's one of the things they have to rebuild the confidence that they had with the people. And it must start from the roots. It must not start from up there. It will not be somebody from Yaoundé sending them to go. They have to start building the peace, rebuilding the peace from the grassroots and giving the confidence that they had before to the people. And that is only when we can be assured that our chiefs will regain back their power, their fanfare, their pomp that they had.
Okay. Civil society groups were once very vocal in Cameroon. They were almost everywhere. What has happened to them?
The civil societies are there, Mr. Leo. I think that
they're concerned with other things.
I think that it was, you asked Jarvis almost a similar question, but a majority of the civil society organizations that we had were using the crisis in the early days to make money. A lot of money used to come in. You organize seminars for journalists, and at the end of the day, you motivate them to preach peace, say this, say that, and also you visit some affected families. Some of those civil society organizations went far. When someone is hit even in Kumba, they go there. They are the first, they want to rush to be the first. Someone is hit even in Pinin, they want to go there, like we saw with the Ayafo, Florence, was beheaded, the wardress. A lot of things, a lot of them were willing and ready to go because at this moment, the funds were coming in. I think that is one of the reasons, Mr. Liu. Another reason, like I said before, is, when you are living in a system and a period where Dr. Nzimanchu runs a civil society, and he says this, and the next day I start looking for Dr. Nzimanchu, where he has gone to, you do not expect me, who also have a civil society, to show that I'm too vocal and too strong. We know people who have traveled out of this country overnight because they held civil society positions, and at one time or the other, somebody felt that they should not make their voices heard. I think you're going to agree with me that at one time the Minad boss said that any organization should, receiving money as a civil society, should make known that, like,
but we are talking about preaching peace.
Yeah, no, Mr. Liu, I'm talking, you know that I talked about finances.
Who was arrested for preaching peace?
We know about the woman of Redak.
Was she preaching peace?
She's a peace crusader. That woman is always peace, peace, peace. We know about the guy of Emong Daveni. It's peace, peace, peace. That's what they do. When they kill this, they condemn. They do this, they preach peace. They're always preaching, Mr. Liu. But I feel that this is just one of the examples.
They are human rights activists. Go on. Yes, it's true. They are human rights activists. They are there to denounce. We are talking about
when they say somebody has been killed in Kumba, and they say that killing is not good. Let us rather take this path for peace to come. That's activism. I thought activism is about encouraging violence or taking a particular position and having a particular agenda. Notwithstanding, Mr. Liu, I just feel that a lot of things have happened.
So you mean Redak has gone silent because they were preaching peace?
They have not gone silent.
They were targeted for preaching peace?
No, Mr. Liu, they have not gone silent. I'm not looking at people completely, they have not shut down. The momentum, I'm looking at momentum. the energy, the zeal is dying. And more to that, you will agree with me that some civil society too have also discovered that some of the separatist fighters, what they brandished in 2016, because Mr. Leo, you know, everything is a course. It's not today. The Anglophone crisis did not start today. Some of these organizations too have come to realize that those they were advocating for were busy making their money. And I feel that you do not expect the same energy that they had, they should have it today. And another issue is, we should also be able to say that the Anglophone crisis of 2016 is not the Anglophone crisis of 2026. It has also lowered. But yet, we still have those who come out there like you to talk about the peace. Notwithstanding, I feel that if the terrain, Mr. Liu, because we are living moments where once you want to show how hard you are, it becomes a problem. And I feel that some of these civil society guys or organizations that have piped low, the reasons is because they have also noticed where some warnings comes from either A or B. And far from that, it doesn't cancel the fact that motivation used to be. In the early 2016, 2017 to 2020, a lot of money used to come in. That is a fact. But now the money may still be coming in because there were people in those days who would go to a community, meet an affected family, take images and take things, and huge sums of money were coming in. And they were kept sending those images online and giving the impression that they wanted to fight for peace. So I feel, Mr. Leo, that if the terrain, I talked about the terrain, if the terrain were level, civil society activists will take, or rather say civil society will take about the activities normally. If the income kept coming in, we would not have gone through what we are going through now because the income too has gone low. Another issue too is that progressively, they have discovered that those they used to applaud, those they used to stand for, I have people in 2016 I could lay my head for on the same platform on 2016, 2017, 2018. But now, we are in 2026. You're discovering that the same people you could even lay your head for, you could lay your life for because you felt they had a cause. They had something that was genuine. You're discovering that they are rather extorting from the common man. And that is why some of these people, they have also piped low. That's what I think.
The pipe low, which means that the perceptions, can we also say that perceptions have changed? We wanted peace because we believed in something, and we've discovered that
it was a mirage.
Yeah, it was a mirage, and okay, whoever dies dies. Is that what we are living today? A time with the caption of last time, that has it been left to die a natural death. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm DJ Barnabas from Noni. Please greet that my brother for me. Yeah.
Yes, the thing is, lie can only take a very short period of time, and truth is consistent. And when this crisis started, a lot of warpreneurs brandished themselves in different departments. Some took the department of peace, of activists, blending as peace advocate. Whether we like it or not, some NGOs are active, what we call civil society actors, which are based on activism. Then there is a difference between a peace builder and an NGO activities, because most of the NGOs activities are there to condemn. A peace builder go beyond. A peace builder look about the fact that, okay, can we just, a certain level, down our ego, forgive each other and move on? Can we reconcile? Can we see how we can move ahead? Rather than saying that, okay, this man has done this man must be held accountable, this person must be held accountable. Now, you asked a question about the issue of the NGOs and why the NGOs have suddenly piped down or are muted. The reason is because funding is not coming at home and abroad. And because there are some of those NGOs that at the level of the European Union, keep away the United States Agency for International Development, let us look at also the European Union. The European Union, some of these agencies were giving money for these NGOs to fund their activities in terms of preaching peace. But when this money stopped coming, you see that the activities died down naturally. I heard my brother Prince talked about the fact that intimidation. Like I was trying to elucidate a while ago that you getting involved into something, you as a professional, you know the consequences. So now, to a certain level, those who are branded are being intimidated, and most of the time are being intimidated from the perspective of the armed fighters who are preaching peace. Now, you already see the government bench actually go hard on someone who will say, okay, please, can we let go? Can we come together? Can we see how we can talk to each other? But if today Dr. Dimansho gets up and say that, please, my brothers from the Northwest, those carrying guns, can we keep our guns down? Can we look at each other as brother and sister? The next thing is, he has been bought. He's a black leg. But you see, the government will not act like that he is a black leg or he has been bought, because, like you said, there is a man of preaching peace and a man of carrying activism. Let's separate the two. Activism is different from preaching peace, because when you are preaching peace, you are on the constant of forgiveness, reconciliation, and let's move forward. But when you are on activism, you are saying, this man has done wrong, this man has done wrong, oh, there should be justice. That you are simply basing your mind on justice. Most of these NGOs base their mind on justice before peace. But a peace builder faces mind on peace and reconciliation, not justice and reconciliation. So you see, this is the nuance that if we don't separate it, people will end up not getting on board on what we are talking about. And the center theme of why most of these NGOs, they are operating, their offices are operational. But the thing is, they don't have money to buy rice. They don't have money to buy buckets. They don't have money to buy soap and omo. They don't have money to buy all those things because their fundings are not there. Now, how will they move to these communities? Most of the time that they move to these communities is to go and share, like Dr. Dimansho was giving his own kind of sarcasm when he was explaining that he had somebody in Bamenda and he told the person that it's like some of us will need to move back to Bamenda. Because these NGOs, it's not like they are there, they are functioning. But you don't hear them because they don't have the fundings. The question is, when we are preaching peace, did we come for the money or we came for the people? But the sad reality is that most of these NGOs came for the money and not for the people. And that's why since the money stopped coming in, they stopped activity. Have you also noticed, from the perspective of some of the government surrogates, have you also noticed that they too have piped down? They too have piped down because money is not coming forward. Because everybody is waiting for who will give money to go and talk. As money is not coming, they are just folding their arms and waiting. And everybody now is waiting that, okay, the head of state should finally sign the commission of communal dialogue. And the issue is
we are going to see all the peace advocates come out.
Yes, that's the moment you will see all the peace advocates. Another issue is the follow-up of the Measure National Dialogue, the implementation phase. They were constantly having meetings of recent. We have not had a meeting again about the follow-up, because we had one meeting in Bamenda when the Prime Minister went for a follow-up and came to Boya, a follow-up to the state of implementation. But we have not had that again. And you see, in all of this, therefore, it moves to money. And that's why I'm saying that if we must preach peace, we must look at it from the perspective of truth, reconciliation, and not truth and justice. And you will come back to what some people always say, no, truth and justice. Yes, justice is good. But if you are aligning yourself on justice, you become an activist. But when you align yourself on reconciliation, you become a peace advocate. Because a peace advocate will have one or two words that it is well, let's move forward. Let's abandon the bygone. Bygone be bygone. And in conclusion on this issue about these NGOs not being able to continue, I'll conclude by reminding ourselves this issue that most of these NGOs have what is called their mission and their vision. Their mission and their vision is what holds them together. But when the armed conflict came on, we saw that most of this mission and vision was limited to sharing of rice and holding of conferences and sharing of tomatoes, savon, mattresses. When houses are burnt, we see mattresses spring up. When people are killed, we see mattresses and rice spring up. But rather, concerted effort. It is surprising to see that till now, we have not had these NGOs came together as one force, write one joint memorandum about the state of the conflict in the Northwest and Southwest. They should be the one to be saying what we are saying now. That what is happening? Why is everywhere quiet? Whereas people are still being killed. They should be the one. We have not seen them in other countries like in Kenya, Nigeria. NGOs like this will come together and they will write a joint memorandum and call the government awareness, create an awareness, and go to media and say, hey, people are playing silence. There's that thing is still occurring. This time, like I said, there was an attack on Tuesday. I've forgotten this village in Bamenda, I think around Batibo. 3 camions were burned down, bikes were burned down, because this is what happened. The separatists said The military went and told the people to go and sell on Monday. The people went and sold on Monday. The separatists came on Tuesday, blocked the road. Everybody that was going to the market had their cars burned down, get some of these people into the bush. It happened on Tuesday. We have not heard these NGOs talking about it. In fact, it's like there's no news. But let me tell them about this. This happened on Tuesday around Batibo, so you should know it and condemn it.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm really enjoying the ongoing program on your panel. However, I have to disagree with Mr. Jarvis. He should note that if there is a truly functional funds union in the Northwest, it is the Donga Mantum Funds Union, Domafu. In 2025, a caravan of peace was organized in Cambe, the divisional headquarters. The entire population of Donga Mantum turned out massively for the event, including both the Muslim and native communities. The caravan began with traditional libations calling for perfect peace, reconciliation among sons and daughters of the division, showcasing their cultural and traditional roots. I believe we should applaud the Donga Mantum Funds. They are working tirelessly to maintain peace in the region. Most recently, libations were poured in Tumbo as well. Domafu is clearly getting results. Recently, the president of Domafu is working with the executive to organize another caravan. Mr. Liu, as a testimony, most Donga Mantum Funds are in their palaces and not otherwise fond of Mbisa, writing there, Mbisa village. Yes, His Royal Majesty, we are glad to read from you. We're glad to know that you're following the program, but I'll also plead with the executive of Domafu to also inform My Media Prime TV so that we can give it vast publicity. When you have an event, just inform us, or you can get some videos, interviews, and send it to us so that the world can also note what is happening, because some of the things you say, I'm also learning from what you are saying. We'll be glad to have them aired so we get what the funds are doing out there in Donga Mantum division.
It's fun, eh? He's signing special greetings to you.
Yeah, I got you. You know, like I said,
young fun.
Like I said before, that most of the challenge we have in the conflict in the north and south is communication. Because most of the time things are done, and they are done probably within a surface area. Again, it's a good thing, but it should go beyond Donga Mantum. It should go beyond. It's not peace building. If they it's not the way it's a carry to issue. No. Prince. If your leg is, if your whole body is paining, if your leg is paining, the whole body will be affected. We are talking about the northwest region. Donga Mantum people don't fly, use a helicopter to get to their village. They pass through communities. If Donga Man, no, you are the one that's acting. I'm just saying that they should carry it beyond. You are the one acting like it is.
But they in Donga Mantum cannot carry it beyond.
That's what I'm saying.
Let those of the region.
We are doing it.
Yes, but let's also look at the diaspora. They once played a very strong advocacy role. We had so many persons in the diaspora who were very itchy to see this problem solved, but we hear very little from them. Looks like they have gone to sleep.
Yes, the diaspora too, they depended on so many of these issues that we have talked about, the national dialogue on all the Swiss talks, the Canada talks, and all of those. They depended on that. And when that crumbled, you see, the diaspora too felt like, there was really no magic wand that you could bring into. Coupled too with the fact that in most of the countries in the diaspora, like the US, Finland, and all of those places, we have had hardliners, separatists who are operating in those areas. They now started this division among themselves, whereby people started throwing lines of this or that in terms of. And thirdly, there was this disagreement on the form of state that was supposed to be from the diaspora. I spoke with quite some number of people in the diaspora, some who stood for federalism, others who are hardliners, they want independence, some for decentralization, and all of those. So these differences that didn't have a negotiation table caused a lot of diasporans to actually just sit back and say, oh, why should I actually fight more than those who are on the ground? And two, as we said, when you begin to take sides about certain things, you are actually being considered as someone who is against one of the parties, either the B, A, or B parties, because you realize those in the diaspora who are really preaching the peace and talking about living together, many of them were actually taken down by these separates, whereby some of their relatives were kidnapped, some abducted, others slain, and all of those, because they were taking sides, especially when those who really wanted a united Cameroon as it is, many of them were plotted against, and their family members were kidnapped and they paid ransom. So given all of these difficulties that they went through, and many paid huge sums of money, and even some had to stay without coming here home, because they feared that when they came home, there were a lot of plots against them, and many even came and died here. Some actually just survived captivity. So a lot of these and more are in the face of the government that is so, indifferent and nonchalant to the plight of the people, cause people to say that if the government is not really concerned about solving this issue, then it is not them, the diasporans, who are struggling to make their own living. That, of course, the remittance they send to Cameroon is already something enough that they are doing for Cameroon and for the Cameroon economy, and to increase their suffering at this point in time was something that they were not ready to do. So you find that a country cannot be without the diaspora. And when the diaspora, in their own proposals, we even have some other associations which are, I don't know whether they are Federalist associations, which are made out of the diaspora. There are many of them out there. But then the one thing remains clear, that they do not have a concerted voice. They do not have a particular line of thinking whereby it appears as if they keep on fighting themselves. And as many are the diasporans, so too are as many the generals that we have in the bushes, and in some other cases, whereby some we have had many of them who are even those who are sponsoring the generals and all of those, the Amber Boy and all of those in the bushes. So we have had diasporans that are very complex, fragmented, and we cannot really have anything to write home. And not even just talking about the Anglophone crisis. We talked about the diaspora when it came to the election, the presidential election, where we didn't see a very, very active diaspora. Even though in some areas they actually came out to vote, but we didn't see really the active diaspora who could push forth for a mandate. And one of the things that we hold our authority to responsibility is through elections, because that is a way in which they cannot escape from us. But when the diaspora doesn't really actively get involved, it is funny. We had so many opposition leaders who left here in Cameroon and they went abroad to garner support. I learned from good faith that most of the halls were empty. It means that what? There's this issue of escapism noticed among the diasporans. Many do not really want to care. They are not only careless about the things that concern Cameroon, but they care less about the issues. So we can actually not really blame them for some of those things. Many factors contribute to this. And we think that if we can be able to build trust in the diaspora, because we cannot really build peace in a country without the diaspora. Because it is this diaspora, if it is active, that can actually be able to push the international community to be able to bring about peace in Cameroon. Because when we talk about the international community, we cannot actually talk, forgetting that there is the diaspora that is very active, that can bring about it, and I can push the UNO to come to Cameroon. They can push the African Union to act. They can push the Francophonie to act. They can push the Commonwealth to act. They can push the United States to act. The diaspora forms that part of the force that we have neglected. And of course, and I know that some people have an interest in putting them apart, because the best way to let them not to act is to separate them, to put them apart that they are, and they spend all of their time, I get to some of their WhatsApp, where they spend most of their time insulting each other and not finding a solution to the Anglophone crisis. So it is quite a bone of contention that we have here. As divided as they are, so too we are here in Cameroon with the elites that are here, because they also look at us, the elites, who are either helpless or we have refused vehemently to do something about the Anglophone crisis. And then they say they are there, they can remain there in their comfort zone. If we are here and we only keep on following the politics of the belly and not doing anything about what happens to us, then they are not the ones to live over there, come to Cameroon and solve the problems for us. So it's a collective act, it's a collective action that we are calling for, that in as much as we may blame those who are over there, who are not doing anything, we too, here, we have to take the responsibility to be able to say that, okay, we push for school to go on, we push for peace to return, we push for our phones to go back to their own palaces, we push for churches to operate, we push for NGOs to go back and start distributing aid, especially to women and children, and we push for, collaboration and solidarity and community dialogue to come back and to take effect as the President of the Republic actually announced. We hope that he reinforces it.
Yeah, it is true. You said earlier on that some persons have grown tired of talking about it, but you also said some persons were afraid to be arrested by the powers that be. But can we say that others have also gone silent because of the consistent tagging? Once you call for peace, some people think you are playing for a camp.
Of course, I think that there has been the fragmentation of the camp. We have the groups. We have those who say they are federalists. We have those who say they are separatists, who want direct separation. We have those who want, even in the federation, there are people who talk about a two-state federation, rather. There are those who call other types of federation. And there are those who want complete secession. So now when you have people who have diverse opinions, once you take a position, even as a civil society, and you say that, okay, I am standing for this camp, at the end of the day, the other camp comes to attack you. Attacking you because they think that you may have been bought over. Even as journalists who are suffering that, Mr. Liu. Because people think that once you start being, for instance, objective, then you have been bought over. Once every day you come on my Media Prime Television and you're saying that there is nothing good from the government of Cameroon, there is a bad government, it's a worse government, there are those who applaud for you. So there is an issue of interest. Nobody's going to even the next minute. Someone texts you with a SIM card, you cannot reply the person. And even when you reply, they cannot get you. Why? Because they feel that you are preaching a lot of things and you're sensitizing a lot of Cameroonians. And once you start sensitizing a lot of people, you're spoiling business for them. When you're spoiling business for them, what do? They struggle to bring you down. So those who are still on the ground, I say, like Jarvis said before, that courage, brothers, sisters, don't stumble, because it's not easy. They are going through a lot. And let them stay strong. The war has not ended. And if they retire now, when they are still young, you will not have been good. Let them keep moving, because it is still going. I think that Mr. Levin, as you are here, doctor said that the role too of the media, we play in our own role. Because we are sensitizing. There are much people, and that's why I want to...
second topic.
And I want to appreciate the fun of Mr. Odo. Elaborating. It takes time. Mr. Fon is a traditional ruler from my area. I want to appreciate you, His Highness, and saying that I respect you very much. Them. Okay, thank you for correcting me, Shay. I want to appreciate you, Royal Highness.
Okay, one of the fallouts of the major national dialogue had to do with the creation of a special status for the Southwest and the Northwest regions. We'll come back. I don't know. Your Highnesses, you guys should forgive us, but this is what we have to do. With the creation of, we have the Regional Assembly, and we have the House of Chiefs, and we have the Public Independent Conciliator. All of this, has this advanced the peace process in any way? Can we say, okay, things have moved, there is a big contribution to the peace process because of the creation of a special status for these two regions, or all eyes, ears, and everything is still turned towards Yaoundé?
I will not totally dismiss the fact that to some extent it has not reduced the violence in the Northwest and Southwest. It has. And it has also created a favorable environment where these persons can have first-hand information to know how to resolve this crisis from the grassroots. However, this has not been too effective. In fact, it has created some problems on the field in terms of who is doing what, when, and how, and also the functionality of these offices. When the Grand Measure National Dialogue came and this special status accorded, with the announcement of the creation of the House of Chiefs and also the appointment of independent conciliator, and also you had the Regional Assembly, one would have thought that this will greatly stop the killing, or if not reduce the killing, in the northwest and in the southwest region. When these people were appointed, let us go to the level of the regional assembly. The regional assembly is also made up of the House of Chiefs. Now let us look at what have they been able to achieve within the last mandate until now. They have a second mandate. What have they achieved so far? In the domain of chiefs, we instead see the chieftaincy crisis moving to a higher level. For example, one would have expected that with this House of Chiefs coming into effect within the North and Southwest region, every crisis as far as chieftaincy crisis is concerned will be handled by this house, because these are the men who understand the culture and know the lineage and how the succession plan of every community within their respective areas. They know that for a chief to be appointed, or for a chief to come up from this village, it is so and so. Let me give critical examples. When it occurred in Miami village, what happened? The people of Miami instead marched to the governor's office to ask for the governor. But what the question is, what is the House of Chiefs doing in the Southwest? Why did they not move to the House of Chiefs? A similar issue is happening in Etome village. In Etome village, in Edina subdivision, the people have instead moved to the senior divisional officer office. But whereas there is a House of Chiefs that should be the competent power to look into this issue and give an informed opinion to administrative officials that based on what the custodians or the culture says in this area, this is how this problem can be resolved. The people, for a people and a community to bypass this structure and move directly to administration, it then tells you that it has not been effective. The same thing in the Northwest region. We're experiencing the same thing. Now, in terms of resolving this conflict in the Northwest and Southwest region, going to the root causes of this, what have been their movement, their achievement, as far as getting to this conflict, to these guys in the bushes is concerned, and also the government is concerned? Ghost towns are still very effective in the Northwest and Southwest region. As we are talking to you right now, there are people, you get up every day, you get up, you hear that a body was found in Bamenda in such a location. It has become a new normal. In fact, it's a new normal. Every day you hear this person was kidnapped, body was found here, body was found here, body was found here. If you put the tally in 366 days, for the ones we know, not to talk of the ones we don't know, we are losing people like this. Now the question is the independent conciliator, who is supposed to be at the forefront. What have they been able to achieve? I will tell you for fact is that these people make the job of journalists very, very difficult, because sometimes you even get them to come on panel and tell us whatever their plan of actions have been, what they have been able to do. They are scared to appear before the media. Why? Because, you know, if you don't have something to hide as far as their activities, why will you not be appearing before the media? It is difficult to get an independent conciliator to talk to a media on a political program on a Sunday or on a normal day, on a 1 hour, 2 hours, to get to that person. It is difficult. Now, if you cannot tell us, if not of this program today, I would not have known what the Ndonga Manchu chiefs have done.
But I told you.
No, you see, that was not how you painted. That was not how you painted it. No, that was not how you painted it. Because we raised the issue, His Majesty took out time to explain what had happened. But this is a moment where I assure you, if you had invited, they do not come to talk. They will tell you, no, I'm telling you, please. I'm okay. Which I throw the challenge now. This is the media. We are here. They should call the number and book a session and come and explain to the people how, so that we can promote peace together. It's a collective effort. We are promoting peace. Do you know how long it will take you to get the House of Chief President in Southwest region to appear for your TV? It is difficult. But you cannot, and the same thing in the Northwest. It is difficult.
No. We're talking about peace efforts. The special status was given to the Northwest and Southwest regions for a reason. because of the ongoing crisis, Dr. Ndimancho. And the president, in agreeing to this, was to also appease, was an attempt to appease the angry population of these regions. And if they were created and a lot has been achieved, wouldn't it just be normal for the assemblies, both the House of Chiefs and the regional assemblies, to update the population that trusts us? This special status that has been given to us has brought us these benefits. Can you say for sure what these structures have brought to these regions since their creation?
The structures have brought about the appointment of individuals who have fed fund on the government. And I must say this because we have a culture of appointment and formation of commissions.
That is this is an opinion you may have of them.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they may have achieved a lot.
I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm coming. Because it cannot be completely that bad. Sometimes I want to look at what is very, very visible. And I want to take from the, what obtains and what has always been in this country, because we all have always thought that the best way to solve a problem is to form commissions. We started this crisis by forming what? The bilingual and multicultural commissions. It didn't work. It didn't work because up to now we don't get any reports from them, because that was supposed to be one of the solutions of the Anglophone crisis. Secondly, we left from that and we went to the special status. It was the creation of the House of Chiefs. There was creation of regional assembly. And all of those now
The public
independent conciliator. And of course now the president is allowing in his speech, very soon we'll be creating the dialogue community dialogue commission. That is coming. That's just to let you know that we have a culture of creation of commissions without accountability. This is what is happening.
We'll soon create a commission to find out why all the other
commissions are. And I will tell you, that is what happened. There was a time, I just finished secondary high school, and one of the things, I saw all these NGOs working. I had never even ever known how NGOs work, and I went to the governor's office to create an NGO that would supervise other NGOs. That is what I didn't even know what NGOs were. Just because of the big heart that I had, I wanted to create an NGO that would survive other NGOs. And they looked at me over a young man. So that is what we are talking about, that we talk about creating commissions that have no accountability. And we have said communication is key. And we think that any commission that has been formed, or any organ has been formed in this crisis, has a responsibility to tell the people how it is working and how it has worked. It is a responsibility. It is not as if it is your wish that you do it or you don't do it.
It's a public office.
It's a public office. You have to give account, especially when people's lives are on the edge. You have to communicate. You were appointed to salvage this situation. How long have you gone? And what has been your difficulty? This is what is supposed to be. The moment you refuse to communicate, two things are possible. Either you have not done the job at all, or you are just there sleeping. So we have to, because now, if you ask me, yes, I will know that it is nostalgic to have had the House of Chiefs, because we had that in the federal system of government. To me, I was happy. Yeah, because I used to hear about it, the House of Chiefs, and it appears as if it was working for the Anglophone. And I'm sure that is where they took from.
Of course,
because they have that, they had that image, that, of that period when the chiefs were chiefs, they had the command. When the funds were funds, they had the command. And they said, let us bring it back. It is going to serve, and it's going to actually create or serve or provide a solution to this. And that was done. Up to now, we are still to know exactly what is happening. What they keep fighting is who is going to be the chair, or the president of the House of Chiefs, or the president of the House of Funds.
And the problem now also Dr. Dimancho.
Yeah, but my question is, there was a reason for the creation of, for the the giving of a special status to the Northwest and Southwest regions. This regional assembly is existing. House of Chiefs is also existing. Now, are they doing enough to tell the people the achievements they have?
I have just answered, because I have said they are themselves defeated. Because if you ask me particularly, because in the regional assembly we have councillors who come from the different councils who are in the regional assembly. I have one from my friend. I've never known what he does. He lives in town. And when you look back and you ask, what are they doing? You do not know what they are doing. Because if they were doing something, the public is supposed to be informed. But the fact that the public is not informed, it shows that they are not doing anything. And all they are interested in is renewing their cars and their houses and their mandates. We know about the vote. One thing is for sure, that I know about the budget that they vote. One thing is for sure. That one is clear. They vote the budget. But to say that I know, but I saw the public conciliator of the Northwest, he made a rating. Yes, he made a rating of the councils. He made a rating of the councils.
Yeah, but
yes.
but
is that enough?
Some days back, he published an annual report for 2025 to give a report on what he has observed. How do we push the peace advocacy beyond what we are living today?
Difficult questions.
So that a renewed attention is given to the conflict, because as we speak, it looks like it's an abandoned affair.
How do we pick it? First of all, it's let those who are engaging or those who are engaged understand that once you take the idea of bringing peace to a society and a community, you need to understand that it's not a money-making venture. It's more of sacrifices. I remember that I saw someone like the Bishop of Kumbo, Bishop George Mkwo, go to risky areas to tell the people, we need to embrace one another, we need to. So one of the things, once you're engaging into the peace area, you need to understand peace crusading is not about money. Someone whom I celebrate, and I've always celebrated since I talked about crusading, is Tunfo Nikowale, whom you agree with me is very open to the press. Now, but this is someone who is always there to say there is nothing that is priceless than peace. And I feel, Mr. Leo, that let those who are entering into the peace sector understand that it's not something that's meant for money. There is something I said at one time, Mr. Leo, and I'm saying it again. I remember one time when you were to celebrate your birthday, I went down to Susa with some items. You went and told the people, I understand you traveled far. I understand you abandoned your homes. I understand. Those things came from your personal pocket. But now, many people who enter into the peace caravan, they look at it as
we sent people to the Bamenda prison,
of course,
to talk peace to them.
Yeah. Now, most people enter into it, Mr. You look at it as a money-making venture. What do? You get 4 bags of rice or 5 bags of rice and 2 bags of savon, or two cartons of savon and 2 bags of salt. You take to a village and take 10 people at the end, you take in good images of them, and you send maybe to the sponsor who had given you the income, and you say, okay, this is just a tip of the iceberg of those who assisted that day. I feel that those who are entering into this venture, one, should know that it's not a money-making venture. 2, I think that policies to also put in place by the government should be relaxed. Relaxed in such a way that the government should understand that those who are coming into the peace crusading are coming in as auxiliaries. They are not coming to fight the government. They are coming to assist the government achieve something. And also those who are in the other camp, who are the separatists, should understand that those who come to preach peace, if at all, what they are fighting every day and calling for ghost towns and other things, if at all what they are preaching is that peace should return in the Northwest and Southwest, or that they want that the Southwest should feel free and the Northwest, then they too need to understand that those who are preaching peace, they should be given the leeway. Because I bet you that today, if they tell someone that, okay, there is something happening in Kumbu, rush there and go preach peace, very few people will dare, because you do not know what holds for you after you've done so. But if they were to tell someone to go to Mr. J today, I'm very sure they'll be rushing because there's peace there. And I think that let people embrace it. And finally, Mr. Leo, I want to believe that we don't only need to go to these areas. Let other media houses emulate what my Media Prime is doing. Here, a lot of people have understood that peace is necessary. When you look at the feedback you have gotten from the comments from several areas, to have a Royal Majesty sit and send you a message means he too understood that what is going on is impactful. And I feel, Mr. Leo, that it is time other media houses embraced topics. It is not. I was somewhere discussing on a platform, and I said, at times we should be conscious on what we say on media. It's not just because we come on air and must tell people they killing way, killing, correct. At times you may only say that they killed somebody, it is correct because it's not your family member. When we were here to discuss Ngidado, I told you, Mr. Leo, that amongst the 14 people that were killed, 7 came from a single family. How do you feel? That they come and tell you your name is John, that 7 of your family members are gone. It takes, you need first of all, Mr. Leo, to leave that kind of a place, and they take you straight away to a mental clinic where they can prepare you, where you need a therapist, because it can even lead to suicide.
You need a psychosocial attention.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. You need it. Thank you. You need a psychosocial attention, because you're not losing 1, you're not losing 2. You have lost 7 people. It may even affect you, and in progressively, you may be talking with people, and at one time you go unconscious, and people may be thinking that you're mad, whereas you're not. So let us understand. Even far from that, Mr. Leo, you carry it on your social media handle. We have phones. People can see preach peace on their phones now.
Yes, I do that.
Even on our WhatsApp group. When you look at the messages that we even write on our WhatsApp group, from morning till night is insult. That's peace.
Okay, so peace is our responsibility. We need peace at the level of our families. We need peace at the level of our job sites. We need peace at the level of our villages, our towns, and our regions. We need peace in Cameroon and Africa as a whole. The world needs peace. The responsibility to bring peace is not does not squarely lie on the shoulders of an individual. We all need to make efforts to work and see the peace we all are longing for. If you just watched this program, I personally have been working on peace. I'm planning to engage a peace crusade, which is going to be involving so many persons. I also intend to stage that in different communities. I do not fear what you may think about it. We at least we die once on this earth. So whether you like it or not, I'll continue preaching peace. So if you're interested to be part of the peace advocacy that I'm planning to engage and stage in the days ahead, just write me. Let us see how we can work together. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. And I want to tell the people who are watching us to understand that without peace, we cannot go doing our activities freely and effectively. If today we are talking about the dying nature of our culture, I remember back in the days where December will come, people will move to their villages in the northwest region for cultural week. The village will be booming, the economy is booming, but we can no longer do that again, and the culture is dying down, because that was a moment where you take your entire family, your children, to go and live the culture. But without peace, we cannot do that. So I want to encourage all those who are watching us to join your peace caravan, your peace train, to make sure that we all put our hands on deck and preach. I know some people want to come and brandish us that, oh, you people have been bought, you people have been bet. We must continue and do our best. Even Jesus Christ was heavily criticized by the people around him. One more of us may mortar. At the end of the day, courage, brothers and sisters. Do not stumble.
Okay, thank you for coming, Dr. Nimacho.
Thank you, Mr. Liu, and please permit me to be able to extend my invitations to all the people of the Mbin and Palace. Of course, some few weeks back, I was honored with an appointment as the Palace Development Chairperson. I'm holding my ever first meeting with the subject of the Mbin Palace here in Douala on Saturday. And this is actually going to see the presence of His Royal Highness for Dominic II, first who will be in attendance on Saturday here in Douala. And I'm asking my people to come so that we put hands together to be able, because it's about development, to build our palaces, let it look beautiful, exotic, and that would also be able to entice and permit our funds to stay back in the palaces. So on Saturday, I'll be welcoming my phone here, and I'm inviting all of us, of course,
I'll be there.
The spokesperson of the funds of Mr. J and all, Mr. Leo and Dama Jarvis, on Saturday. I invite you all to come meet with my phone.
Yes, it is also our responsibility to make our policies beautiful so that it can also attract persons from out of our villages, why not out of Cameroon, to come as for sightseeing. Yes, thank you for coming.
It's always a privilege being on board, Mr. Liu. A beautiful topic we got, and which is a running topic, because peace is priceless and peace never ends until the day we are off. I want to appreciate all those who watch in Misaje, which is a land of milk and honey, to all the funds of Donga Mantun, which is Donga Mantun Funds Union, most particularly to you. Your Highness, the fund of Misa, who took time, energy, and resources to watch. It's a privilege to have been there, Mr. Liu.
Okay. Dr. Bisong says, good evening to you guys and to all of those who have participated in the program. So wherever you are, it is your responsibility to work for peace and not a war wherever we are, because we have one life to live. And when we leave this earth, we are carrying nothing with us. We came, we met this earth. We are just expected to make it better, so that by the time we are going, we leave a better legacy. We celebrate Nelson Mandela today, not because he constructed mansions or did wonderful things. He just preached non-violence and is remembered for today and tomorrow. And so many persons are talking about him. We also celebrate Martin Luther King, but we talk about Jesus every day. He is a Prince of Peace. So also as ambassadors of Christ, let us endeavor to work for peace. Thank you to Eli and Nateta for production, and to all of you for watching. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.